Hey, welcome to 1500ESPN.com. I'm Derek Wetmore. This is Andrew Kramer. We're out at Winter Park for the first day of Vikings mandatory minicamp. Andrew, you wrote a little bit about Mike Zimmer's comments this morning before practice about the QB competition is wide open. It's a three-horse race, I guess. Are you buying that?
Not necessarily, but at this point, what are you going to expect him to say? It's not like he's going to just disparage a guy that he's been working with a few months. Remember, now this is a new coaching regime, new coaching staff, new quarterbacks coach, new everything. So they're just going to tell the media that it's still wide open when really it's probably a two-horse race between Matt Cassel and Teddy Bridgewater. But for right now, Mike Zimmer says, hey, I don't believe in that theory that Matt Cassel is necessarily this veteran fill-in, and then we'll wait until Teddy's ready. He says, I've heard many people say that, but I haven't said that, and he's still not saying it. So right now he doesn't want you to get your Teddy jerseys quite ready yet, or Matt Cassel jerseys for that matter, if anybody's that ambitious. But he's keeping Christian Ponder in the loop. But from what we've seen here, even in the past organized team activities, Christian Ponder was the odd guy out. When you really watched it, he didn't take as many first-team snaps as the other two. Matt Cassel's been the one taking all of the reps right away with the starting offensive line, running back, receivers, and such. And then it's been Teddy Bridgewater coming in for a few. And then Christian Ponder's kind of been the third afterthought from what we've seen here at practice. So it'll be interesting to see here. They practice in a couple minutes. We'll be able to watch if that changes at all. And then they have practice Wednesday, Thursday, and then they have some time off before training camp. But in other news here at mandatory minicamp, they got the rookies back, Anthony Barr, Scott Crichton, David Yankee. You wrote about that for the website at 1500ESPN.com. Check it out. But just give us a brief synopsis of what that is.
Yeah, there's an NFL rule, of course, and you'd written about it earlier this offseason, Andrew, about teams in the Pac-12. Yep. Players that are drafted out of there, they can only attend one camp while school is still in session. So you mentioned Barr, Crichton, and David Yankee. Yep. They had to go back to school while their quarters system schools were still in session.
Yeah, they had to get their degrees, finish their final exams, all while still studying the playbook and trying to get acclimated.
Mm-hmm. And now I don't know if the NFL rule dictates that they graduate, but certainly that they can't attend. They can't physically be at practices while schools are still in session.
They could have chosen not to get their degree and honestly just avoided it, not taking their finals, and just kind of dropped out. But obviously that's not how the Vikings wanted to portray this. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they talked about it behind closed doors. It's not worth the extra few weeks of practice to do something like that, especially in the public eye, and especially for these kids who football doesn't last forever, obviously.
Yeah, plus, so all of those three players are back now. Yankee actually had returned last week, but Barr and Crichton now are here, and Zimmer will get to see him for the first time in person in about a month, although the Vikings had assistant coaches fly out to practice with them. They couldn't do on-field stuff, but you could do workouts. You could be in the playbook on your iPad. All that kind of stuff. So they're trying to get up to speed this week.
Definitely. And Barr was here for a rookie minicamp for a few days. So there's not really
the middle
much.
Of May, right?
Yeah, it was. It was right after a week after the draft. So he got to meet him right away, obviously, and they got to do a little work on the field. But really, this 3-day session will be the key to seeing how he's picked up the playbook, how Scott Crichton has picked up the playbook, and David Yankee, to see, okay, going into this 5-week period that they have off before training camp, how much work do they really have to do to get caught up? Yeah. And then going into this 5-week part.
That's what I was just going to ask you about. What's this system like?
And obviously, it's been a scary part for the Vikings coaches, past Vikings coaches, and also Vikings fans, because they've had more arrests than any other NFL team since 2000. That was at least of last year, and they had 3 last year, so maybe they still hold that title. But this is usually when it happens. Players get into trouble. They have free time. So what Mike Zimmer wants them to do is really stay focused, stay with their weight training and conditioning programs, stay around Winter Park here. There are NFL rules on what they can actually do and how long they can be here. They can only be here for so many hours a day and stuff like that. So there's going to be a limit on what they can do. They will have a lot more free time, players that is, but the coaches want them to stay focused, obviously. So Mike Zimmer has initiated a conditioning test that he will give to players when they get back to keep them motivated to stay in shape. And so if anybody's fallen off a little bit, he'll be able to tell right away. And they'll set barometers for those conditioning tests before they leave for the 5 weeks, and then they'll have those same tests when they get back. So it'll be interesting to see that and kind of report on who was keeping up with it and who wasn't. But other than that, there's really not much they're going to be able to do for those 5 weeks off after this mandatory minicamp, because then they report on July 24th.
To Mankato for training camp, and that's when it all starts. But before then, a little bit of R&R, and as Andrew mentioned, the keeping up with the conditioning as well before the grind of the NFL season begins. The grind will be the same for us. We'll be here at 1500ESPN.com. Tons of videos, coverage from Winter Park this week and also from Mankato next month. Thanks for coming to the website. Thanks for watching. Check out all Andrew's great Vikings coverage at 1500ESPN.com.